Linus Tech Tips coverage of CES 2014 is brought to you by NCIX.com, your source for great technology, selection, and service, along with Corsair Memory and Western Digital. Now, my biggest criticism of Corsair's innovation in the case market has to be the fact that they still haven't come out with a 4-door model. They all have 2 doors. Now, they moved a little bit more towards the direction of addressing the needs of people who want more doors on their cases with the 250D over there. But this, while it doesn't necessarily deal with that one complaint, does address a complaint I didn't have, and that is that cases need to be more see-through. Okay, now I've given you a totally sarcastic intro here, but honestly, I love this thing. George, tell us about the 760T with this full windowed side panel, and you got to walk us through this a little bit here.
All right, cool. Like you mentioned, this is Graphite Series 760T. It's a full tower case. It's based on the award-winning 750. One of the cool things about it, like you mentioned, is that full side panel window, but that's just kind of the cosmetic part of it. So it's hinged, so you can just open it real easily and get into your parts, access real easy, real quick. And it's hinged on a pin, so you just want to pull it off. It comes right off, and you can take care of it and put it away so it doesn't get scratched while you're working on your system. The nice thing about the inside of it, excuse me while I put, you put that over there? Okay. So the nice thing about the inside of it is actually it maintains almost all the 750D features. You have dual 140mm front fans with a 280 or 240mm radiator mount. You have a 360mm mount on top. You have a 140 in the back. You can put a single 120 on the bottom. Those side-mounted SSDs that everyone really liked on the 750 are back, and then the removable and relocatable hard drive cages are there. So this case has 9 expansion slots, so it's a true full tower as well. It's really solid performance-wise, and it looks really good too. That full window gives you the ability to show off your full system, and we've just put some Corsair Link lighting stuff in there to show off the lighting capabilities.
Now, there's a couple things that I want to talk about that you didn't necessarily touch on, and that is, I love 750D. I think it's a great layout, and the fact that it now has a more aggressive-looking aesthetic. I mean, not everyone is going to like this better. That's the cold, hard truth, but they don't have to. Now that there's a more aggressive-looking aesthetic option for the people who don't like the clean lines as much as they like the bling, I think that's fantastic. And something you guys can't see, but we'll get you some B-roll footage of, is the fact that there's actually an acrylic panel on the other side as well. So that one's not see-through, so you don't have to see all the cable management behind it, but it gives it a more balanced aesthetic. So how long has this one been in the pipe?
We've been working on this since about a year to 15 months, so about a little under a year and a half. One of the things we thought of was we needed to come up with a new full tower chassis, so 750D was the basis for it. But then we know we had to come up with a couple of different variants. Tooling up a base chassis is very expensive, so we know that not everyone likes the Obsidian style ID, so we wanted to dress it up a little bit with some other designs. So this is one of the other designs we've been working on, is the 760.
Now, normally I object to a very, very large window, but I think you guys are getting away with it here because of the excellent cable management and because of the good looks of the inside. And you know what, guys? Think about this for a moment. When you see a really cool build, how often is it that, like say for example, a Fractal Define R4 build, how often is it that you see people do their finished shot with the side panel off because the cable management looks so good or whatever it is that they did? Well, that's what this looks like all the time with the complete, like you kind of can't even tell we took the window off. So there's a little latch here, and then because it's made of plexi, it's obviously not that structurally strong compared to a piece of metal, but there are magic pieces here and here, also known as magnets, that allow it to stay in place and still maintain that flushness that looks good. I think you guys did a really great job on this one. Thanks very much, George, for walking us through it. Is there any other crazy stuff in here that you'd like to just kind of point at and say, hey, this might be cool as well?
Just the fact that we have a ton of clearance up here for taller radiators too.
I meant that power supply.
Power supply. Oh yeah, by the way, power supply. This is a prototype of the AX1500i power supply. The 1500i is kind of like the 1200i with a couple of big changes. Obviously, there's more power to it. But the other side of it is it's now what would be the draft of the titanium spec. So the 80 plus titanium spec doesn't exist right now, but there's kind of a draft of it, and this meets that draft spec. So kind of like you were mentioning, draft N routers or draft AC or whatever it was. Now it's kind of the draft spec of the titanium certified efficiency. The other side of it is we went out and said we wanted power supplies to be even quieter. With RM, we got them down to a really low noise level by actually hand selecting electrical components.
Oh, I get it. So draft means you have airflow all the time rather than actually... Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe I've misunderstood.
No, exactly not that. Yeah. No, basically the premise is that there are other things inside your power supply that cause noise besides the fan. And we had fanless modes on power supplies for a long time. One of the things that people notice when the fan isn't spinning is you can sometimes hear an electrical buzz or coil whine and things like that. So with our M series, we actually spent a year figuring out how to hand select each little component so you wouldn't get electrical noise, and that's been brought to this series as well. So all new HX and AX level power supplies, RM and up, basically, everything will have the hand selected components to cut down on coil buzz whine and all that stuff like that. So it's coil whine and buzz, stuff like that, is not actually usually coils. Sometimes it's a number of other components, but it's being called coil whine by the industry because just kind of that's a catch-all term. But we've cut it down to almost zero. This system right now is running, even though there's 4 280s in it, it's running only 3 of them in Crossfire because one of them fried itself overnight. So that's probably our fault. But anyway, it's running 3 systems in Crossfire.
Did you just say that?
It's probably our fault, yeah. I think someone zapped it when they opened the side panel. But so one of them is not actually running. It's just there for cosmetic purposes, like the 4th stack on the Titanic. Poor metaphor for AMD, but anyway. This is running 3 280s, and it's running a 6-core processor. Everything's running full load. Firmark, Prime 95 is running crazy. We're doing about 600 watts of output right now, so it's only about, kind of a little between a third and a half of its max load, and it's doing no fan at all right now. So you're doing 600 watts completely fanlessly, 3 280s, and a fully pegged processor, X79 Sandy Bridge E, fanlessly. So that's kind of one of the nice features of a 1500 watt power supply is, yeah, it's expensive. You have that headroom for 1500 watts, but even if you're running what is a ridiculous system that almost nobody I know would actually build, you can run that fanlessly. So pretty nice setup for the power supply.
Very cool. Thank you very much, George, for taking the time. As always, it's an absolute pleasure. And thank you very much for showing us this surprisingly interesting one. It really caught my eye when I walked in the room.
Cool. Thanks, man.
All right, guys, don't miss any of our CES 2014 coverage. Remember, our trip to the show this year is powered by NCIX.com, as well as our other 2 show sponsors, Corsair and Western Digital. So huge thanks to all of those guys for allowing us to be here and see their products and talk about their products for them. Imagine them wanting us to be here and do that.
Who knew?